National heroes who died in last Wednesday's helicopter crash. And later on, we bring you a U.S. report that is raising red flags over Ghana's human rights records, citing arbitrary arrest, detention, and serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom. Details of these and more in the next 30 minutes. My name is GRACE HAMMOAH-AGYEMANG. Stay with us. Many thanks for joining us. Let's get into the bulletin now. Tensions flared in Manso Edubia enclave when the IGP's Special Anti-Galamsey Task Force came under heavy attack from a group of illegal miners at Bontresso. The task force, which was acting on a tip-off, moved in on an active mining site where an excavator was seen digging for gold and causing extensive environmental destruction. The operation quickly turned violent, leaving 2 police officers injured in a fierce confrontation with the miners. Here's Stanley Nibleu's reports. We'll bring you that report subsequently, but let's just stay on that issue and speak to Aula Sewa, who is coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens, for a broader look at the implications. Aula, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon to you, if you can hear me.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
Great, Aula. So, given the increasing hostility and armed resistance from illegal miners, what urgent policy or security reforms would you recommend to ensure the safety of anti-Galamsey teams while protecting the environment?
Well, I'm sure our security persons will be best placed to answer this question. What we will say is that we have asked for a targeted state of emergency, and that would ensure that when we are going into these hotspots, you are adequately protected. You see, we don't want more and more and more lives to be claimed by these environmental terrorists. And what is happening right now is that we are gradually slipping to lawlessness. And we talked many months ago that if we continue not dealing robustly with the environmental terrorists, what will happen is that they will start getting emboldened. And in other parts of the country, they will just control vast areas of the country, as is the case in some Latin American countries. So that we needed to take robust steps. That is why in opposition, the president promised that he would declare a targeted state of emergency. We're still waiting for that to be done. We don't want any more blood to be shed as a consequence of environmental terrorism. And what happened is appalling. It's appalling. It shows the total breakdown. And we are gradually sinking to that level.
Aula, what do you think should be the role of political figures such as assembly members in fighting illegal mining, and how should they be held accountable when implicated in such attacks?
You see, with illegal mining, we look at the areas, but we're also calling on the Asantehene. He's a powerful figure. We need chiefs actively against illegal mining. The Asantehene is a powerful, respected figure. He should call out what is happening and deal robustly with anybody under whose direct control the area comes. Having said that, we also have our political authority there. How did the excavator is not like a mobile phone that you can put into your pocket. When you were telling me, what about the police command? What about the security coordinating council? And of course, every single person there should be held, who has a duty to protect, should be held accountable. And of course, we need the community to also understand that illegal mining, because it's irresponsible, it will just destroy their environment. But having said that, there are cases where the community has stood firmly against the environmental terrorists. In many cases, those who have terrorism, they rather have been arrested, as in Asemkro, in Atronsu and other areas. So yes, all those who have some authority, the assembly member, the district, municipal, chief executives, the police command, they should all be held accountable.
Everybody in the hierarchy.
But we also appeal to the Asantehene.
What role can civil society also play in ensuring that they effectively support law enforcement efforts to curb illegal mining while ensuring human rights and due processes are maintained?
You see, right now, the human rights of Ghanaians are at stake. We are being poisoned. Our forest reserves are being decimated. We are being told that the number of kidney disease cases has risen fourfold. So what human rights are rights to, for example, include rights to water, is being compromised. Ghana water cannot remove the toxins from the water. So even when the water has a clear color, it doesn't mean it is safe. Civil society is doing its best. You've had what used to be media against Galamsey calling out and saying what needs to be done. Eco-conscious citizens, so many civil society organizations, Arocha Ghana have been at the forefront, calling and asking for a targeted state of emergency. Our calls have not been positively responded to. So we can only do what we can to keep on asking for the proper thing to be done, such as the repeal of LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserves, and also EI 144. And then we continue supporting the police officers, for example, knowing that some of them are putting their lives on the line. We had officers who died while chasing illegal miners on the riverbed. What has been the response? Has there been a fund for their families? Because I'm sure they left behind families. We have the Forestry Commission officers who were attacked. A couple have been killed. We can get the proper figures from the Forestry Commission. What is our response?
The list goes on and on. But when you speak to these people involved in legal and in the unjustifiable response or reason they tell you is that it is their source of economic dependence. So that's how they're able to survive through that. What do you think can be the alternatives? Community-based alternatives government can also implement to reduce this excuse that they keep giving?
You see, let's be absolutely clear. What is driving environmental terrorism is greed. Let's be absolutely clear. You have cocoa farmers who have given out their farms because the illegal mining is more lucrative. Nobody should tell me that it's just poverty. It's being fueled by greed. When we had a spate of armed robbery in the 80s, people sit there and say that, the armed robbers is because they don't have a livelihood. We dealt with it, and right now we don't have armed robbery on the level at which we had it some time ago. So let's call a spade a spade. It's criminal activity.
Right.
It's no defense to criminal activity that I don't have a livelihood. There's a lot of other sources of income. Maybe they're not getting enough for cocoa farming. Maybe they're not getting enough for planting crops. But let me say this year, 2.5 million peasant farmers who also deserve a livelihood. They are at risk of losing their livelihood as a consequence of irresponsible mining.
All right,
it's not just that it's illegal, it's irresponsible. Thank
you for talking to us. Aula Sewa is co-coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens Against Galamsey. Now let's go to another story now. And the United States is sounding the alarm over Ghana's practice of prolonged detentions, cautioning that keeping people in custody without formal charges or a lawful arrest warrant erodes the rule of law. In its 2024 Human Rights Practices Report, the U.S. Department of State describes the trend as a clear breach of constitutional protections. This conclusion is no different from the department's 2023 report, sparking concerns of no significant improvement in protection of rights. Let's take a look at the key aspects of the report. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan is joining me in studio. Crosby, what does the report say about human rights abuse in Ghana?
Well, Grace, the report says that there were no significant changes in Ghana's human rights situation in 2024, and it highlights issues like arbitrary arrests or detention, restrictions on press freedom, including some physical attacks on journalists. In fact, some cases were mentioned, and cases where officials implicated in these abuses, they were rarely punished. The report also flags problems with labor rights, with child marriage, and the government's slow response to unsafe working conditions. Essentially, these are the things the report highlights.
We also know the report was very clear or particular about prolonged detentions without trial. Tell us more about that.
Well, this was a major red flag in the report. Now, even though Ghana's constitution requires that anyone arrested without a warrant be brought before a court within 48 hours, the report says that authorities frequently ignored this and that people were often held for days, sometimes weeks, or even years without charges. In some cases, pre-trial detention lasted longer than the maximum sentence for the alleged crime. And there were also concerns about high bail amounts, missing case files, and court delays that they all contributed shockingly. And some detainees had been behind bars for up to 11 years without trial.
That brings us to the issue about press freedom, which is topical and important for yourself and myself as well. What does the report say in that area?
You know that the Constitution guarantees freedom of expression, but in practice, the report says that there's growing intimidation and journalists faced violence. For example, the report mentions an MP in Yendi allegedly slapping a reporter during a live broadcast, and no charges followed. There was also widespread self-censorship, especially in politically aligned media houses due to fear of legal action or losing jobs. And the report says that criminal penalties for false information online remain a concern and can discourage open reporting. So essentially, these are the highlights the report mentions when it comes to press freedom.
Does it make any recommendations for any of the areas?
Well, it talks about how authorities will need to do more for state agencies and maybe government institutions that are mandated to dealing with these concerns, that there's the need for them to act properly, that's number one, and then act quick enough.
All right, Crosby, thank you for those updates. Noble Crosby Annan, my colleague, updating us on that U.S. report on human rights abuses here in the country. Let's bring in rights activist and law professor Kojo Appiagyei-Etua. He teaches public international law and international human rights law at the University of Ghana. Prof, thank you for making time to join us. Arbitrary arrest, detention, and serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom. Fair reflection of the state of affairs?
So this is a report for 2024 that the U.S. State Department's reports is always issued a year after they base their analysis on the past year's report. So what we have here largely reflects the final days of the previous regime, and it confirms key findings that we have also commented upon and challenged the government to make amends before the elections of 2024. And so what is has been reported by the U.S. States Department of State reports is credible.
And Prof, so we will see similar instances captured in the reports play out even this year. Do you get a sense as a nation we are failing to tackle this issue head on, or governments have generally been satisfied with the state of affairs?
Making comparison between last year and this year, yes, we see some common trends. And again, it's a cause for worry. When you look at the fact that the government, the current government said it was resetting the agenda. If you take the case of the police, for example, we don't see any serious reforms having taken place in the administration of justice by the Ghana Police Service. And the coming into place of the new IGP has not resulted in any changes, positive changes on the ground. The police are still doing the things that they do best, which is arresting people, putting the aides out on bail conditions, arresting people any for doing due process, and then extorting money and, beating up journalists, and even dealing with cases which are not supposed to be criminally related cases, such as dealing with debt issues between two people or two groups of people and so on. So what the report has come up with is credible, and there's no sign of a change for the better in the first year of President Mahama's administration.
And Prof, with all these violations, as you've admitted, how do we as citizens, civil society and journalists work to turn the tide against these right abuses, considering they are quite serious?
There's a lot of room for the agencies of states that are supposed to respect human rights and promote human rights to do their jobs. For example, we just talked about the police. They're supposed to protect the citizenry, but they rather end up abusing the rights of the citizens. The soldiers have gone on various rampages, and the police have not brought them to check. It's as if the soldiers are they live in a world of their own. SHRAJ has been inactive. It has not been as activist-oriented and very well organized in protecting people's rights, taking up cases. Even when cases are reported, it takes so long for SHRAJ to deal with the matter. So you talk about NCCE, it's also has been very silent and not been very active. You talk about the courts, there's a slowness in the administration of justice, and all these factors are very worrying because these are the very institutions of states that are supposed to protect and to promote human rights. And so when it comes to, when it so happens, as we have it here, the state's ability to protect human rights, which is to prevent rights from being violated, and if violated, to ensure that the perpetrators are arrested, they are prosecuted, and convicted if found guilty. They are not doing their job in that respect. On the part of the government, it has the duty to respect rights. In that sense, in the sense that it is not supposed to intervene in the enjoyment of people's civil and political rights. We have situations where demonstrations have been dismantled or interfered with, and some journalists molested, and so on. That is not good for the image of the country. And there are also issues about the duty on the states to fulfill, that is to provide certain facilities to make the enjoyment of some rights possible.
Thank you, Prof, for talking to us. That was rights activist and law professor Kojo Appiagyei-Etua. This is the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. We're back with more after this break. Stay with us.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for staying with us. This is still the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. On Facebook, it's 3FM 927. Now, government says all is set for a solemn state burial tomorrow for the 8 victims of last Wednesday's helicopter crash. Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations, Stanley Dugbe, told the press the military-led ceremony will be conducted with full respect and adherence to protocols given the expected large crowd. He also assured of heavy security deployment to ensure law and order. Our presidential affairs correspondent Kamla Kluche joins me from the Black Star Square where the event is expected to take place tomorrow. Kamla, if you can hear me, talk to us. What more do we know about the ceremony tomorrow?
Well, the traffic congestion in times like this, or state events like this, needs to be controlled, and so the police have outlined roads that could be blocked, and then the possible diversions starting from today. till tomorrow. The Ghana Police Service have been speaking, but even before the Ghana Police Service, the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations, Sandogbe, has been outlining what the protocols are, and also a directive from the Chief of Staff, Mr. Julius Debra, that all donations that have been received by government on behalf of the 8 victims be distributed to them equally, and that nobody will be distinguished from the other. And so he's given that directive that as of this afternoon, we do not know yet, though, the amount in terms of money or the items, but mention has been made of a few of them. But the directive is that they should go and do the distribution to all the family members. Let's first listen to the Deputy Chief of Staff, Stan Dogbe. Then we can also listen to the Ghana Police Service.
A number of companies and individuals have made some donations of items, water, drinks, floral tissue, and other things to the government for this funeral. And he has directed that all those items should be delivered to the 8 families. So right from this morning, we're beginning the distribution of the items that we've received from a number of companies: Guinness Ghana Limited, Ghana Water Company Limited, Vena, Casapreco, Ghana Limited, Twellings, Ghana Limited, Floral Tissue, and others. We'll be handing them over equally to the 8 families that lost their loved ones in the Wednesday, August 6th disaster. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's hear the police MTTD also on the protocols for the ceremony tomorrow.
Today at midday, traffic police officers will be seen around this vicinity. From this afternoon through the night and through tomorrow, the aim is to ensure that there is free flow of traffic in terms of mourners, family members, and all that have everything to do with this occasion. In light of this, there are certain roads that are going to be managed. So from tomorrow morning to about 5 a.m., traffic police officers will be deployed to manage traffic that's coming from La.
We'll bring you a lot more on how traffic management is going to be for tomorrow. But Kamala, if you're still with me, talk to us about how the Black Star Square is looking. We know you are just there.
Well, if we have some of the videos you posted in our group, you can see the place is all well dressed up and all that. The chairs have been arranged, the demarcations have been done where the VVIPs receive, where the president and government officials, families, and the others would also sit, and the designated areas where the 6 coffins would be placed. The coffins are that of Dr. Eduardo Mani-Boama, Dr. Samuel Sapon, Peter Bafemi Anala, and just a second, Bafemi Anala, and Samuel Abuaji, the former parliamentary candidate for the Obuasi East constituency, squadron leader Peter Bafemi Anala, and Sergeant Ernest Adomensa have all been designated the areas. And it's strictly a military event.
Okay.
And I mean, just like what was done for former President John Evans Atta Mills, strict protocols, just like the way the military does it. There's no compromise whatsoever. There's a reason why they're sounding all the caution. If you do not have the necessary accreditation, especially venturing into the inner perimeter.
Do not make your way there. All right, Kamla, thank you for bringing us that update. Kamla Kluche, my colleague, updating us on the final funeral rites for the 6 of the 8 that perished in that helicopter crash. So if you have intentions of going there, this is how management for car parking is going to be at the event. The Black Star Square itself is for VVIP and VIP. The forecourt of the State House will be available. The International Conference Center is also available for car parking. The Access Bank car park, the Osu Cemetery car park, the Accra Sports Stadium car park, the Ministries area, Ministry of Food and Agriculture car park, Marine Drive football park, and also the Ifwa Sutherland Children's Park. Find any of the spots in these car parks and make sure you're safe even as you join the country in mourning these gallant men. Still on the issue, the Eastern Regional Branch of the NDC has held a candlelight vigil in honor of the late Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omani-Boamah and the 7 others who tragically lost their lives in the recent crash in the Ashanti region. The night was filled with emotional eulogies, symbolic candlelight procession, and moment of prayers in remembrance of the departed souls. Mark Kevo is the Eastern Regional Chair of the NDC.
As a pillar in the Eastern region, a leader, a mentor, a brother, and a tireless servant of the party. You were the one we called when hope seemed distant, when we needed resources to keep the party moving, or when urgent projects needed funding. You never said, "I will see what I can do." Instead, you said, "We'll make it happen." And indeed, you did. Your presence during campaigns were electric. Never forget you. Your discipline, your humility, your vision, and your boundless generosity will remain our guide. Though death has taken you from our side, your legacy is rooted deeply in the soil of this region, and it will continue to bear fruit for generations.
Eastern Regional Chair of the NDC, Mark Kevo. Meanwhile, the St. James Old Boys Association, Joba, also held a solemn requiem mass in honor of the late squadron leader, Peter Bafemi Anala, a distinguished alumnus and military officer. The service took place at the St. James Seminary Chapel in Abesim, Sunyang, bringing together family, friends, and colleagues to pay their final respect. Some of them spoke to us.
Thank you so much.
The St. James Seminary Chapel was filled with mourners on Wednesday evening as Joba members, military officials, and loved ones gathered to bid farewell to squadron leader Peter Bafemi Anala. The late officer, a proud alumnus of the St. James Seminary, was remembered as a dedicated serviceman and a committed member of the Old Boys.
Well, we'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletins, but that will be it for our package for you this afternoon, the midday news on 3FM 92.7. Stories that came through as headlines: illegal miners violently attack IGP's anti-Galamsey task force at Bontresso, injuring 2 police officers during Manso Edubia operation in the Ashanti region. Also, government says all is set for a solemn state burial on Friday, August 15, for the 8 national heroes who died in last Wednesday's helicopter crash. And United States raises red flags over Ghana's human rights record, citing arbitrary arrest, detention, and serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Grace Hammoah-Agyemanг. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Good afternoon.
Three FM. Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Obodu. Coming up, Bank of Ghana moves to sanction willful loan defaulters with 5-year credit ban. And a new directive, we'll hear from Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama.
Clearly, this will require sound risk governance. It will require unwavering compliance, and it will require a willingness to rethink your business models.
Also, new Bank of Ghana chair at University of Ghana proposes gold-backed digital cedi and resource-linked tokens to transform Africa's monetary system.
Let us issue the world's first resource-backed, quantum-secured central bank digital currency. Roll this out, the gold-backed digital cedi in 2026.
And Ghana Stock Exchange crowned Africa's top-performing market in 2024 as market capitalization hits 111 billion cedis on record trading volumes and investor confidence. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, says willful loan defaulters will soon be barred from accessing credit from any regulated financial institution in Ghana for up to 5 years. Under the new directive, commercial banks and other lenders will also be required to publish the names of such defaulters twice a year in at least 2 national newspapers and on their websites. Dr. Esiama explains that the measures are aimed at curbing the surge in non-performing loans and safeguarding the profitability, liquidity, and stability of the country's banking sector.
Your task as leaders of the sector is to translate stability into growth, to channel more credit into productive enterprises, to support SMEs, to finance critical infrastructure, and leverage digital innovations to reach undeserved markets. Clearly, this will require sound risk governance. It will require unwavering compliance, and it will require a willingness to rethink your business models, considering changing customer needs, the tech disruption that is ongoing, as well as climate and sustainability challenges and other issues. At the Bank of Ghana, we are committed to engaging with you constructively. And we've been doing that so far through your association. We'll emphasize a clear regulatory guidance at each instance, and we will be supporting innovations that enhance the resilience as well as the competitiveness of Ghana's financial system.
And that was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, speaking. Now, a University of Ghana professor is urging the country to take the lead in creating a new kind of money backed by its own natural resources. Professor Yagandi Paul Alagidede, who is the new Bank of Ghana chair in finance and economics, says Ghana could introduce a gold-backed digital cedi within the next 2 years and later develop other digital tokens like linked to cocoa, share nuts, and manganese. He says such a move could make Ghana a model for the world in how to use local resources to strengthen the local currency.
Let us issue the world's first resource-backed, quantum-secured central bank digital currency. Roll this out, the gold-backed digital cedi in 2026. By 2027, let's circulate algorithmic cocoa, share nut, manganese tokens. By 2028, anchor a pan-African endogenous resource-backed currency clearinghouse that will make the Bretton Woods twins obsolete. Let foreigners come in droves to study the Ghanaian central bank model. We are the richest seen with the resources in our hands, both human and natural. To our lawmakers and bankers, pass the laws that mandate that a minimum of 30% of our resources should back our currency. This is the time for both sides of the political divide to get together and study the colonial laws that continue to force us to siphon our own resources to finance external projects outside of our borders and rather concentrate those resources here.
That was New Bank of Ghana Chair in Finance and Economics at the University of Ghana, Professor Yagandi Paul Alagidede. Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange cemented its position as Africa's top-performing market in 2024, posting its highest annual return in over a decade amid record trading volumes, soaring market capitalization, and strong investor confidence. The following three Business News Desk report has the details. The Ghana Stock Exchange was the shining star of Africa's capital markets in 2024, delivering its strongest performance in more than 10 years. Figures from the Bank of Ghana's 2024 Financial Stability Review show that trading activity surged with 992 million shares changing hands, far higher than the 579 million recorded in 2023. The total value of trades jumped to 2.15 billion cedis from 818 million the year before, reflecting heightened investor interest and market liquidity. The information and communication technology sector led the charge, supported by solid performances from the financial sector and exchange-traded funds. Market capitalization ended the year at 111 billion Ghana cedis, up from an impressive 50% from 74 billion cedis in 2023, buoyed by a sustained rally in share prices and the listing of Atlantic Lithium and Carbank preference shares. The Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index gained 56.2% in 2024, its best return since 2013, while the Financial Stocks Index climbed 25.2%. Analysts say the stellar performance has deepened market participation, reinforced investor confidence, and strengthened Ghana's reputation as a key investment destination on the continent. And that was a three Business News Desk report. Now, away from that, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is calling for urgent diversification of the country's export portfolio as the United States rolls out new tariffs targeting imports from nations including Ghana. The 10% levy is part of broader measures by Washington aimed at curbing excessive import volumes and protecting domestic industries. Speaking to Three Business on the sidelines of the Ghana First Europe 2025 launch, Chief Executive of the Chamber, Mark Bedua stressed the need for strategic investment in value addition across Ghana's traditional exports. He believes this will not only cushion the impact of the U.S. tariffs, but also unlock greater access to European markets.
And after we have created a common market for us, so if the products the prices are high because of the tariffs, we can begin to look at how we can export within the African market. There's also a huge market within Europe that we need to explore. We should not only concentrate on America. Now let's look at the other continent that we can export to. And Europe offers a good opportunity for us. We export close to about 20% of our cocoa to Netherlands, for example. And we import a lot of things from Europe. For Netherlands, for instance, our imports from Europe, about 14% of our imports from Europe comes from the Netherlands, and less than 5% of our export goes to the Netherlands. So I think that it's an opportunity for us to export more. We should also move from exporting the traditional products that we have, like cocoa, the gold, and the oil, and diversify our export to the European market. That is where I think we can get a lot of advantage. And then the SMEs, I think they are very good now, and they'll be able to take advantage of the market within Europe and also Africa.
You heard the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GNCCI, Mark Bedua.